Me again. On a topic that's a little closer to my day-to-day activities and of great interest to me, I do thank you all for being here, and hopefully you'll find this to be fairly insightful. What we're going to talk about today is really co-creation, and I think Andrew touched on a lot of the key elements of co-creation and how these partnerships are working right now. First, just to sort of ground us in what's happening out there, and it's been a common theme in this conference as well as a lot of the other conferences that I attend, what we're really all faced with is this idea of a changing landscape. I like to call it the perfect storm. There are three ships in the ocean. One is the consumer, one is the producer and distributor, and one is the brand. And in the eye of the storm is really the technology. Technology is enabling, and at the same time it's dismantling the traditional industries as we know it. So from an enablement standpoint, the consumer can view what they want, when they want, and where they want it. And they really have access to more content today and more information today than they ever have. But technology is really required to get it to us when we need it. From the producer and distributor, it's shattering the economics of the industry. Less is being produced at the levels of which production companies and studios are traditionally accustomed to producing cost-wise. And subsequently, what's happening is you have audiences that are being driven down by the time shift taking place, and the CPM model as we know it that really supports production is being dismantled and reorganized. And then lastly, the brand. With smaller audiences, you have new ways in which you need to activate to actually reach those audiences that you need in order to deliver the kind of GRPs that you have to deliver to drive your sales. So all of these pieces are moving in real time, and we're really faced with some very exciting times, but it's going to take a collective of us to really come up with the solutions. The second big thing that we're seeing out there is this idea of media meshing, and it specifically is oriented around the consumer, but again enabled by by technology. Today's average teen, tween, and for that matter, probably many of us, are meshing or merging media in real time. So as a child sits there in their living room with an earbud hanging out of their ear and the TV on, as they're IMing a friend, Googling something, and having a chat with their sister, brother, friend, you have 4 or 5 types of communication that are all taking place at a given moment in time. Unlike traditional radio or television, which is a one-to-one medium, you have all of this converged media coming at us, which makes it even more difficult for a brand to break through with a message that is relevant at that moment in time. So how we utilize these different technologies, these different distribution channels, which we'll talk about in a little, is critical to how brands communicate with consumers moving forward. Production and distribution challenges, we touched on that. Increased costs, much more difficult to market that content in a crowded marketplace with channel expansion, greater distribution channels, but even more so what we have is also an oversupply of content. We've never in the history of media seen as much content today as we have out there in the marketplace. And I think that Andrew's example of what Cisco did with the New York Times is the perfect example of where we're headed in terms of digital media with print publications moving into video. The fact that somebody can get all the news that's fit to view and read an article and then dig deeper into the Nat Geo library, the Thomson Reuters library, or other libraries that are out there to supplement the experience or the information that individual is getting out of that author's article is a tremendous opportunity on the landscape, and I think something that, in the next few years, we're going to see some great innovation take place. So, from a transmedia storytelling, how do we approach our practice with our clients? The first thing is we look at the hyper-social consumer that we're speaking to. Audiences are opinionated, they're equipped to tell us what they think, and they're not afraid to do it. Every single day, you go on blogs, you go on Facebook, you go onto magazines, and you look at the posts from an article. People have, no problems telling us exactly how they feel, either hiding behind a username or coming out as themselves and telling us who they are. Consumers can sample content, summarize it, regurgitate it, dissect it, annotate it. You have to be ready to allow the consumer to embrace your content And if you give them the tools to do that, most likely what they will be doing is working with you and with the brand to really help socialize that content out there. They're going to mash it up. They're going to write their own offshoots. They're going to redistribute it. I really believe that in the not-so-distant future, we will see films that are produced without actually going out and shooting any content. The amount of databases that are out there, the amount of collaborative script writing software programs that are out there, and the ability to pull a composer in Austria with a filmmaker in New York, okay, with a storyboard artist in Spain, and bring those people together to develop something innovative is right around the corner. They're more involved in the story than ever before through more devices, whether it be the lost community or whether it be other, call it cultural movements within content. Individuals are gapping Monday night at 9 to Monday night at 9 with other forms of content. Lastly, their involvement and the ability to get them involved is cheaper than we've ever seen.